beginning of church.
Praying for victory.
I do not do such things. Thank you all very much for being here tonight. This is the third husting that we've hosted here in this parish church, which reminds me that I've been here an awful long time. This hustings tonight is organised by Churches Together in Oakham, and we hope that it offers an opportunity for all constituents to hear from each of the candidates in the current parliamentary election. All the candidates were invited to be here this evening. Unfortunately, Mr Reynolds, the Liberal Democrat candidate, his campaigning has had to take into account the serious ill health of his 9-month-old son. And today, a very important hospital appointment means that he can't be here tonight. So with the agreement of all the other candidates, he is represented by a party colleague, Mr Graham Hudson, at the end. And at the beginning, I want to commend each of the other candidates for their flexibility and graciousness in allowing this to happen. They have shown a degree of compassion to their opponent, which is a deeply Christian virtue. Now, the format of this evening is that each of the candidates will make an opening statement. They're allowed up to 3 minutes. Then there will be some questions. I need to say something about the questions. To facilitate a broad discussion, we had questions submitted in advance, some of which have been selected. If your question hasn't been selected, but in supplementary, there may be an opportunity for you to raise a connected question if you wish. The candidates don't know what the questions are, but those who are asking the questions ought to have been warned. Finally, a word about filming. There's been a request to film tonight, and I've informed the filmer that he can film and the contribution of the candidates, but not the contributions of members of the public. But the members of the public would need to know that if you heckle, then you'll be picked up on the film. I'm not expecting heckling, but if you were to, it will be picked up. Let me say that after 11 years in this parish, I hope people may be able to accept my own impartiality in chairing tonight. That doesn't mean to say I won't press candidates where they need to be pressed, but I hope to do that fairly. And as a matter of public record, I want to counter any local reports that have suggested that I have any political or familial connection with any of the candidates, for I do not. So we're going to begin with our statements. The order will be mixed up all through the night, and we'll start with a statement from Sir Alan Duncan. No.
Hosting us tonight, and indeed all of you for coming. There are too few public meetings in our modern politics, and I think all of us as candidates are grateful for this opportunity, and we all, I think, are united in sending our good wishes to the Liberal Democrat candidate Ed Reynolds and wishing good health to his child. Lee, if you think you've been here a long time, I'm afraid I've been here a little bit longer, and it's my ambition in this election to be here a little bit longer still. I think this is one of the most important elections that any of us have had to make a decision about in our lifetime. It is a choice between stability and severe risk. I think that over the last 5 years, the coalition between the Conservatives, my party, and the Liberal Democrats, which Graham is representing here tonight, have helped the country recover from serious financial mess. A mess that could have been prevented, as it was in Australia and Canada, but which was not here. We are asking for permission from you, the electorate, to complete the job. It's only if we have a stable economy which is realistic about what can be achieved that we can pay for the health service, and pay for education, and pay for old age care, and pay for defence. At the beginning of this Parliament, we were raising £650 billion in taxation and spending £750. No country, business or family can go on like that. We have to be realistic about what we can do with the nation's money, and too much of this election has been about how we redistribute money rather than make it in the first place. And without a good economy and growth, you have no public services. So what I'm asking for is a clear decision which can give financial stability but also political stability. Because if we have a mucky coalition where we run the danger of not being able to form a government at all, this country is going to go backwards. We'll no doubt discuss this in questions. But my main pitch is this. Stability is important. Trust the party, actually, that promises you less, because in the end, that's the one that is honest.
Thank you.
Thank you for being out tonight. I know he would like also to thank the other candidates for their very good wishes that they've sent in, but also for agreeing to allow me to stand in for him tonight. Ed Reynolds is a truly local candidate. His family were tenant farmers in Cold Overton for 60 years. He lives in Oakham with his wife and 9-month-old son. His mum, dad, brother, sister and their families all live in the constituency. Ed wants the same things for everyone who lives here as he wants for his family: the best local NHS services, the best schools, affordable housing and excellent care for the elderly. Ed is new to politics. He has worked in renewable energy for the last 7 years and currently works for a company based here in Oakham. Growing up here means that he understands the importance of rural issues such as local transport and mobile and broadband connectivity. If elected, Ed would tirelessly work to make sure that the proposed cuts to the local police, fire and ambulance service do not affect response times. Ed joined the Lib Dems because he believes in fairness and equal opportunity for all. In 2010, Lib Dems were crucial in forming a stable government and rescuing our economy. Our policies have directly benefited people in Rutland and Melton, such as introducing the pupil premium, which has delivered £5.3 million to local schools. Ed is proud that the Lib Dems have committed to protecting the education budget from cradle to college, and that we will deliver the £8 billion that the NHS needs, as well as setting mental health waiting time targets. The Lib Dems are the only party who can deliver a stronger economy and a fairer society. Ed will always put his constituents first and will always fight to help the young and the vulnerable. He hopes to reconnect people to the political process and to rebuild trust with the electorate.
It's great to see standing here at the public meeting. I very much echo Alan's comments about the importance of these types of events. I'm James Moore. I live just down the road on the A47 at Gleyston, near Uppingham. I've lived in Leicestershire and Rutland for much of my life. I'm currently a teacher at Leicester University. And I've decided to stand at this election with the support of the Labour Party because I'm very concerned about the future direction of our country. Not only its public services, which we can talk about in some detail, no doubt, in the meeting, but also about our economy. In contrast to Alan's comments, actually, what we've had is 3.5 years of stagnation and 1.5 years of a bit of growth. And now we see that the latest growth figures that came out just yesterday actually see the only sector that's actually expanding is the service sector, in fact. The building sector, the construction sector is going backwards, and manufacturing is basically bottoming out. That's not a healthy economy, that's not a healthy society. I'm also concerned about the state of public services. You'll know me from my campaigns with the fire service to try to save Oakham's second fire engine. You'll also know me, some of you, from the campaigns to protect the police from the horrendous cuts that are being put forward, have already been put forward, in fact, locally. And I'm also concerned about the local NHS, about providing better 24-hour NHS care locally and trying to solve the A&E crisis. That's the platform I'm standing on. And fundamentally, I think elections are about a moral choice. Elections are about making choices between different visions of society. The Labour vision, which is based on community, solidarity and working together to solve problems, and the Conservative vision, which is individualistic and, frankly, in my view, focused on the accumulation of private wealth rather than public benefit. In short, I think this election is a choice between a fairer Britain with Labour and a food bank Britain with the Conservatives. And that's the platform on which I'm standing in this election. Thank you.
Me first. I'm Richard Billington. I was born in Whistledown, a few miles away. I'm extremely local. I taught in Melton Mowbray and in Leicester. I've worked in this county and in Leicestershire. I know the area, I know the problems we've got. This is not the first time that we've been together. You've seen meetings like this over and over again, and the arguments go one way and then another, and the whole issue that we are faced with in this country is political short-termism. Short-term gains to get back into power, fob off the people with whatever promise they can, speak in billions and pull the wool over their eyes. There does not seem to be a categorical attitude on the part of parliamentarians to use long-term planning to solve the nation's problems. Yes, we want more housing. Yes, we want a proper NHS. Yes, we want better roads and transport. But governments come in on short-term promises, everything goes awry, and then it's tried to be fixed again with similar promises. I'm tired of that. If you want proper social change that is realistic, you've got to stop this shilly-shallying with the status quo. You've got to find a party which has got the policies that will match the general needs of the people and stop this change from one to another, UKIP means it. We're here. We want, in this election, you to be brave. Above all else, be brave. This is your moment. It's our moment. We're all fighting, but the closest you're going to get to an overall acceptance is with UKIP. I implore you to be brave and vote for UKIP in this election. Thank you.
And the resources to do great things. We can build an economy that gives everyone their fair share. We can create a humane and caring society that supports everyone's needs. And we can be a world leader in tackling the threat of climate change. Sadly, our current politics are failing this vast potential. The Green Party is putting forward a bold plan to create a more equal, more democratic society, while doing our part to heal the planet, which has been severely damaged by the effects of an unstable, unsustainable economy. The austerity experiment has failed, as it did in the 1930s. Most people have seen their living standards drop, while the top 1% have increased their wealth. Figures out last week that we have 13 new billionaires. Fantastic. Politics, as usual, has brought the people and planet to its knees. The top 1% are now worth more than the bottom 55% in our society. Millions of households are living in poverty, in fear of want. This is not natural, it's not inevitable, and it's not the way to run a successful society. Our NHS is being handed over to the private sector, resulting in a more expensive and inferior service, while the highly skilled staff are underpaid and treated without due respect. Previous governments have failed to get to grips with the serious issue of climate change, possibly the greatest challenge of our time. Yet none of this is inevitable. There is a real alternative at this election, and we do not apologise for being bold, ambitious, or having a long-term vision for our country. We certainly cannot continue as a nation on our current path. The Green Party believes in restoring and extending our public services to create good jobs that meet the needs of a diverse population. We believe we can build a better society that works for the common good, and that those with the broadest shoulders really should pay their fair share towards it. The politics of the future does not have to look like the politics of the past. Together, we can do this, and we must do this.
I am a born-again Christian, which means that I have been fully immersed in water in a baptism in the name of the Father, Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and am now consecrated to God. I am a true Meltonian, born and bred, was a local ward councillor between 1999 and 2003, and again in 2011 until the present time. I've also been the Mayor of the Borough of Melton between May 2013 and May 2014. During my term as Mayor, I also took the option of being on two main committees: Policy, Finance and Administration Committee and Governance. On a note of faith, I arranged for new Christmas lights depicting the Nativity to be placed every year between Cafe Nero and Thomas Cook Travel Agency in Melton. It had been a long time since 2013 that Melton had the Nativity in lights. As a councillor, I have been active in dealing with issues raised by residents of this ward and an active member of various committees with the council dealing with issues concerning Melton and the borough. On a wider aspect, I have initiated an app specifically to be downloaded to mobiles, which will incorporate all the helplines to enable people to receive help when they need it. This will be extremely advantageous for young people and others who are experiencing suicidal thoughts. This is still going through the process within the Council and is yet to be agreed. My main aims: keep the United Kingdom united. It says in Matthew 12:25, every kingdom divided by itself will be ruined. Support the EU referendum, support the NHS, retain in public sector and more out-of-hours surgeries, education, promote British values in schools, crime, more policing on the streets, the environment, promote more public awareness of environmental issues, economy, do more to create jobs and support businesses, defence, keep Trident, abolish zero contracts, support pro-life. I'm against abortions, assisted suicide and euthanasia, and will fight for Melton bypass. And I will enthusiastically represent the people of Rutland and Melton constituency should I get in. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for your statements. They were in time, which is good. That's the easy bit from my point of view. It's much more difficult to manage you than manage them. But we're going to start with our first question, which comes from Mrs. Suzanne Johnson.